Satim Vyasam
Devin Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Nine Narayana Rishis, supermost human beings, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed to practically nil, and thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymns, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first steps in self-realization, text number 11 today. Etan nirvidyamananam Etan nirvidyamananam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Yoginam Nripa Nirnitam Yoginam Nripa Nirnitam Hare Nama Nukirtanam Hare Nama Nukirtanam Etan nirvidyamananam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Yoginam nripa nirnitam Hare Nama Nukirtanam Etan nirvidyamananam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Yoginam nripa nirnitam Hare Nama Nukirtanam Etan nirvidyamananam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Yoginam nripa nirnitam Hare Nama Nukirtanam
Etan nirvidyamananam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Yoginam nripa nirnitam Hare Nama Nukirtanam
Etan nirvidyamananam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Yoginam nripa nirnitam Hare Nama Nukirtanam
Etan nirvidyamananam Ichchitam akuto bhayam Yoginam nripa nirnitam Hare Nama Nukirtanam
Hare Nama Nukirtanam
Etan nirvidyamananam
Etan nirvidyamananam
Ichchitam akuto bhayam
Ichchitam akuto bhayam Harinam Yoginam nirvanirvitam Harinama Kirtanam Etan nirvijamanam Ichitam akutobayam Yoginam nirvanirvitam Harinama Kirtanam.
Prabhuji, can I say something? This Harinama Kirtanam, we just read it. Daniel's eyes kind of blew up just now because we just read this particular Harinama Kirtanam in Bhagavad Gita, verse 427, and Jesse wanted to name this little group Harinama Kirtanam. It's chanting and hearing together, and it says, this is one word which says chanting and hearing. That's how they say it. In Bhagavad Gita, we saw that.
Interesting. Coincidence. Okay, word for word. Etat. It is. Nirvijamananam. Of those who are completely free from all material desires.
Of those who are free from all desires.
Each chitam. Of those who are desirous of all sorts of material enjoyment.
Of those who are desirous of all sorts of material enjoyment.
Akuta. Bayam. Free from all doubts and fear. Yoginam. Of all who are self-satisfied. Nipa. O King. Nirnitam. Decided truth. Hare. Of the Lord Shri Krishna. Nama. Holy name. Anu. After someone. Always. Kirtanam. Chanting. Translation. Please repeat. O King. Constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. After the ways of the great authority. Is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires. Those who are desirous of all material enjoyment. And also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. Srila Prabhupada's Divine Purport.
Jai.
In the previous verse, the great necessity for attaining attachment to Mukunda has been accredited. There are different types of persons who desire to attain success and different varieties of pursuits. Generally, the persons are materialists who desire to enjoy the fullest extent of material gratification. Next to them are the transcendentalists, who have attained perfect knowledge about the nature of material enjoyment, and thus are aloof from such an illusory way of life. More or less, they are satisfied in themselves by self-realization. Above them are the devotees of the Lord, who neither aspire to enjoy the material world, nor desire to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotee can accept all sorts of material facilities. And if the Lord does not desire this, the devotee can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. Nor are they self-satisfied, because they want the satisfaction of the Lord only. In this verse, Srila Sukadeva Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. By fearless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord, and then with the attributes of the Lord, and then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes, etc. Here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, about his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity of the chanting of his glories develops successfully. This process is recommended not only for the successful execution of devotional service, but also even for those who are materially attached. According to Sri Sukadeva Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded not only by him, but also by any other previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need of further evidence. The process is recommended not only for the progressive students in different departments of ideological success, but also for those who are already successful, and their achievement is fruited workers, is philosophers, or is devotees of the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami instructs that chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be loudly done, and it should be performed offenselessly as well. It is recommended and is recommended in the Padma Purana. One can deliver himself from the effects of all sin by surrendering himself unto the Lord. One can deliver himself from all offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. But one cannot protect himself if one commits an offense at the feet of the holy name of the Lord. Such offenses are mentioned in the Padma Purana as being 10 in number. The first offense is to vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. The second offense is to see the holy names of the Lord in terms of worldly distinction. The Lord is the proprietor of all the universes, and therefore he may be known in different places by different names, but that does not in any way qualify the fullness of the Lord. But, period. Any nomenclature which is meant for the Supreme Lord is as holy as evidence, because they are all meant for the Lord. Such holy names are as powerful as the Lord, and there is no bar for anyone in any part of the creation to chant and glorify the Lord by the particular name of the Lord that is locally understood. They are all auspicious, and one should not distinguish such names of the Lord as material commodities. The third offense is to neglect the orders of the authorized acharyas, or spiritual masters. The fourth offense is to vilify scriptures, or Vedic knowledge. The fifth offense is to define the holy name of the Lord in terms of one's mundane calculation. The holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord himself, and one should understand the holy name of the Lord to be none different from him. The sixth offense is to interpret the holy name. The Lord is not imaginary, nor is his holy name. There are persons with a poor fund of knowledge who think the Lord to be an imagination of the worshipper, and therefore think his holy name to be imaginary. Such a chanter of the name of the Lord cannot achieve the desired success in the matter of chanting the holy name. The seventh offense is to commit sins intentionally on the strength of the holy name. In the scriptures it is said that one can be liberated from the effects of all sinful actions simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who takes advantage of this transcendental method and continues to commit sins on the expectation of neutralizing the effects of sins by chanting the holy name of the Lord is the greatest offender at the feet of the holy name. Such an offender cannot purify himself by any recommended method of purification. In other words, one may be a sinful man before chanting the holy name of the Lord, but after taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord and becoming immune, one should strictly refrain oneself from committing sinful acts with a hope that his method of chanting the holy name will give him protection. The eighth offense is to consider the holy name of the Lord and his chanting method to be equal to some material auspicious activity. There are various kinds of good works for material benefits, but the holy name and his chanting are not mere auspicious holy services. Undoubtedly, the holy name is holy service, but he should never be utilized for such purposes. Since the holy name and the Lord are one and the same identity, one should not try to bring the holy name into the service of mankind. The idea is that the Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer. He is no one's servant or order supplier. Similarly, since the holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord, one should not try to utilize the holy name for one's personal service. The ninth offense is to instruct those who are not interested in chanting the holy name of the Lord about the transcendental nature of the holy name. If such instruction is imparted to an unwilling audience, The act is considered to be an offense at the feet of the holy name. The 10th offense is to become uninterested in the holy name of the Lord, even after hearing of the transcendental nature of the holy name. The effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord is perceived by the chanter is a liberation from the conception of false egoism. False egoism is exhibited by thinking oneself to be the enjoyer of the world and thinking everything in the world to be meant for the enjoyment of oneself only. The whole materialistic world is moving under such false egoism of I and mine. But the factual effect of chanting the holy name is to become free from such misconceptions. Thus ends the Bhagavatam purport to the 11th sloka of the 2nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The first steps in God realization. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Are there any comments or questions about that long purport that went over the 10 offenses and a couple of other things before getting to them? Dr. John?
Instructing a faithless person about the glories of the holy name, how do you know you're going too far when instructing? What are the warning signs? Like when you're committing an offense to the Lord, you actually, the whole idea is to try to convey a message to those who are not enlightened, to try to, but they're saying that you can go too far by instructing too much. How does one know one's instructing too much?
Well, you have to have some insight. If you lack that insight, then you should be cautious. Follow the order of your spiritual master. If he tells you to distribute books, then you do your best to distribute the book. But to go around and try to tell everyone the glory of the holy name, even further than your own realization may go, that may be offensive if people don't have an interest. So you mean if you can't judge someone's interest, then why rush in? There's that old saying, how's that saying go? Angels fear to rush in where fools will.
Angels fear to tread where fools rush in. Angels fear to tread.
Yeah, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So, it's our duty to instruct humanity. But following in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps, we have to teach them that they're not their body. That's the first principle. Not that we go and tell them about Radha and Krishna's Leela or pastimes, and that the holy name is none different from Krishna, and one can perceive all Krishna's pastimes by chanting and go on and on and on. And the person, the whole time, may be thinking how crazy it is. So, have they even understood they're not their body? That's the first thing we teach. You're not your body. Then, we give them the name to chant. It's a mantra. Mantra means to free the mind from the conception that I'm the body. So that's how we instruct them. You're not the body. You can chant this mantra. Mantra means to free the mind from the conception that I am the body. And when they make some advancement in that regard, then they can understand more how the name is actually none different from Krishna. But in the beginning, people may accept it simply as a mantra or hymn, some powerful vibration of sound that can liberate my mind. People's minds are very attached to the material world. They're all suffering from all sorts of various types of addictions and conceptions of life. And they're thinking themselves very important. And they're thinking what they possess to be theirs. They're very attached to this I am I. So to become free from all that requires something very powerful. So the Hare Krishna mantra is called Maha Mantra. Maha means the great mantra. For the chanter. The chanter can chant this mantra and it will actually do that job. I mean, all over the world, people are taking all sorts of remedies to try to free themselves from, various obstacles and problems. But the great panacea means a cure-all, something that works for everything. The great panacea is the chanting of the holy name. So, it's not an offense to give the mantra to somebody and tell them this mantra can free you from all false egoism, all false conceptions of thinking I am I. They may not even be interested in hearing that. You may say it can free you from thinking you're your body. And that may, most people will think about that for a moment. I'm not my body. And, sometimes it's very difficult to conceive of because the mind is very attached to the gross body. And one of the aspects of the mind is feeling. So because they feel so much like their body, it's very difficult for them to think that they're anything other than the body. Because they feel like the body. The mind is feeling like the body. So to free the mind, it requires something very powerful. Something very powerful. People many times take all sorts of different types of drugs to free the mind from the body. And, they may have some temporary experience of that. But entering within the body, simply one experiences whatever distress the body undergoes. And, ultimately the body undergoes distress because the body is subjected to disease and old age and death. So, naturally the mind will experience that. And, due to the souls being attached to the subtle body, the mind, as well as the gross body, the souls also thinking that it is experiencing all that, but it's attached to it. And that's its. That's the soul has come under that influence because the influence is very great. The influence is God's energy. And the soul is very small. It's just a very small expansion of God. Very small. And it can come under that influence. So to escape that influence, you need something very powerful. So Krishna, he doesn't come under that influence because the influence is his influence. It's his energy. So it doesn't bother him. It's his. He controls it. It cannot force him to do anything. He doesn't have to succumb to lust, anger or greed, illusion, etc., madness. Those things don't bother him. So when we give somebody the Maha Mantra, knowing or unknowingly, they're vibrating Krishna's name. And Krishna will drive away that darkness. Where there's Krishna, there cannot be darkness. So Krishna will drive away the darkness of thinking I'm the body, of feeling I'm the body. He'll drive it away. He'll clean the mind. He'll free the mind from those deep ingrained impressions that I am some material body. I'm John. I was born in New York. This is who I am. That was my mama. She made me like this. I got this problem and that problem, and I have this ability and that ability because I'm John. I'm this body. American. From New York. So all these things are deeply ingrained. So how to free oneself, is impossible, practically speaking. I mean, how can you free yourself? We're all bound up. We can't free ourselves. Somebody has to unbind us. So either that person has to be free, or, it can be Krishna himself. Krishna is always free. So Krishna can do that in the form of the Mahamantra, in the form of the name. But the key is, Prabhupada says here, we have to chant it according to the great authorities. We have to hear it from the great authorities. Because you can hear Krishna's name chanted in many musicals in India and here in the West, in many Bollywood movies. So, that type of chanting, it doesn't carry the weight when one hears it from the Acharya, from Krishna's pure devotee. That pure devotee can untie us because he's untied. So when he vibrates Krishna's name, it is done without offense. And it has its full potency. So, we begin as a practice. We may have some attraction, however we heard about it. We take it up as a practice, and then one has to hone, he has to perfect that practice. And so Prabhupada is giving us a key here. He says to watch out for these offenses. One of those offenses is you asked is to preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless. I mean, if you just go stand on some street corner and you put down a box like preachers used to do a score or more ago, a century or more ago, before loudspeakers, they would stand on some box and with all the potency of their voice, they would try to preach the glory of the Lord. And there may be some interested people, but there a large possibility there's going to be a lot of uninterested people. So, we should be a little bit careful. Rather than teaching people they're not their body, we shouldn't just ramble on and on and on. You have to learn to control your tongue, your rambling. So people will tend to ramble, just always thinking about things like they're doing some sort of FBI investigation, or they're doing some sort of this, a PhD thesis at this time. No, they're just talking to somebody. There's no need to ramble. You have to be able to judge. We're so self-centered and narcissistic. We can only think about ourselves. But we have to become more empathetic, where we can judge other people's feelings and needs. What are their needs? What are their feelings? If I'm always thinking about my own feelings, then, I'll never escape. I'm just like caught up in my insignificant, temporary disease condition. This body's a big disease condition. And if I'm so hung up in it, how can I escape it? So one of the means to escape it is to start to see other people's needs. What they need. Do they need me to be standing here rambling on and on and on, or are they getting bored? You have to be able to judge. If you can't judge, that means you don't have discrimination. So therefore you learn from the spiritual master. He's saying, don't preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless. Now if you're with some devotee and he's relishing hearing about Krishna, he likes to hear about Krishna, he likes to glorify Krishna, and he's like responding, reciprocating, and y'all having an enjoyable conversation, that's also Krishna consciousness. Krishna says that in the Gita, the enlightened souls, they take pleasure in enlightening one another about Krishna. But if they get if one doesn't have that capacity to glorify Krishna, then the other person won't have the capacity to glorify Krishna either. Because they're not going to glorify Krishna to someone who doesn't have the interest. They're going to try to teach him something else. So initially, and most important for all of our brothers and sisters, because we live in a world where people are simply condemned to think in terms of bodily conception of life. It's a big job freeing people from that. Why did Prabhupada continue to preach about it all the time? Because that's the sickness of the world. Everybody's suffering from this bodily conception of life. We're all hung up in it. And it's not easy to get out of it. So when we chant, we are trying to free ourselves from this false identity. We want to, that means we have to regain our real identity as Krishna's devotee. That's not easy. It's not easy, but with a little sincerity and desire, we can make progress every day. And then it becomes easy to associate with devotees. And one will be, blessed with that association continuously. Sadhu Sangha. So, we need to take advantage of association. Sangha is association, and sadhu means devotees. So we need to take advantage of that to the best of our ability. Besides offending the holy name, we can offend devotees. We can offend anybody, people in general, even other creatures, animals, even. So we don't want to offend other creatures, other people, nor especially devotees. We don't want to do that. And so, we can offend with our thoughts. We can offend with our words. And we can offend physically. Physical offense is the worst offense. When the sages in the days of yore, they wanted to know who was the Supreme Lord. Is it Brahma, who created everything? Is it Lord Shiva, who's renounced from everything and who can destroy the universe at any time? Is it Vishnu, who lies in Yogindra and somehow or other is maintaining everything? Who is the supreme amongst them? So they engaged one pure-hearted Brahmana by the name of Prabhu. They engaged him to answer this question, to go and see the greatest persons in the universe and to distinguish who was the supreme amongst them. So first Brahma went to see his father. Not Brahma, Prabhu. Prabhu went to see his father, Brahma, because Brahma created Prabhu. Brigu is a jiva, expansion of the Lord, just like ourselves. But he's a very great person in the universe. We appear in some Kali Yuga, in some family, on planet Earth, in some universe, a certain time. I mean, Brigu appeared at the beginning of the universe from Brahma's mind. He didn't even have a mother, just appeared from Brahma's mind. And he was engaged to help populate the universe. He's a great Brahmin in the universe, a great son of Brahma. He's one of the heads of a Brahminical dynasty of Brahmins come from him. He's a very powerful person in this universe. So first, Brigu goes to see his father, and he acts disrespectfully on purpose. And Brahma becomes a little bit upset with him. So Brigu immediately takes his leave, and Brahma's wife calms him down. That's your son, don't let it upset you so much. No, he was disrespectful. Brahma didn't do anything. So, but it was a test. So then Brahma goes to see his brother, Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva also appeared from Brahma. And in the pastime of this material universe, Shiva appears from between the eyebrows of Brahma at a certain time. And he goes there and he offends him with his words. He calls him dirty. Says, he says some mean things to him. And Lord Shiva becomes upset. And he takes out his trident. And Brigu leaves very quickly. And Parvati comes and consoles Lord Shiva and calms him down. So then he goes to see Lord Vishnu. And he decides, now I'm going to give him the test of offending him physically. And he goes up to him, he's lying down on Seshanag, and Goddess Lakshmi is massaging his feet. He's just resting there in Yogindra, mystic slumber. And Prabhu walks up and kicks him on the chest. Goddess becomes offended. Lord Vishnu looks up and says, oh my dear Brigu, I hope you haven't hurt your foot. My chest is like a thunderbolt. But your feet are very delicate. What can I do for you today? And so then Brigu could understand that Lord Vishnu, who masters the modes of goodness, was more in control of the lower modes of nature than even Brahma and Shiva. So Vishnu must be the supreme personality of Godhead who can control this material energy. So Goddess Lakshmi didn't take it so easy. She pronounced some sort of curse, I believe. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Brahmins will always remain poor.
Yeah, she cursed the Brahmins always to remain poor because she's the Goddess Lakshmi. She controls wealth. She only stays where there's Narayan. If somebody's not worshipping Narayan, then their money can flee away very quickly. Or, maybe after that life. So she only stays where there's Narayan. So when one uses their wealth to worship Narayan, then the goddess is very pleased by that. Anyhow, what was my point there, besides Vishnu being the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Offenses you are telling the devotees, if you are offending devotees.
Oh yeah, about offending devotees, with your thoughts, words, or deeds. So, Brigu, he performed all those offenses against the greatest persons in the universe. And Brahma became disturbed by his offenses, and so did Lord Shiva, but Lord Vishnu was not disturbed. So Krishna, he's never disturbed by our faults, otherwise how could he stay with us in our heart? Still, we shouldn't expect that of the devotees. They're not Krishna. They can come under the control of the material energy. And sometimes Krishna puts them under the control of the material energy on purpose. He did that to Arjuna, so that the Gita could be spoken. Arjuna's a great Khatri, he's a great warrior. He's been prepared, he's been trained, he's fought all of his life for what is right, and now he has the most important battle in history to go on, and all of a sudden he becomes weak. He has some pity on his foe, and he wants to just give them the victory and walk away from everything that was the right reason to fight for it. How could something like that happen to someone like Arjuna? Krishna's Maya. Why? Because Krishna wanted Arjuna to ask him questions to get out of Maya that he would answer. And that's Bhagavad Gita, the greatest book in the world. Anybody who reads the Bhagavad Gita can get out of Maya.
Haribol.
Jai, Haribol.
So he's done this, lots of times. He'll use his yoga Maya to make something happen. He did it to the sage Valmiki. Sage Valmiki was taking a bath one day and he saw a hunter kill 2 lovebirds. And he became very angry. So angry that he cursed the hunter. And then later he thought, why should I have become so angry and curse that hunter? It's depleted my spiritual energy, and I shouldn't have been so attached. I'm just a low-class hunter. May not have been right, but he would have to suffer his karma anyhow. Why did I have to jump in? Now, I'm just surmising that, he may have thought like that, but he was thinking about it. That's in the Ramayana, it says like that Valmiki was, he was doubting what he had done. So then Brahma came to him. And there was a reason for it. There was providence made this happen. Why did providence make it happen? Do you remember how you cursed him? Because when he cursed him spontaneously, he used a certain poetic meter that he had not spoken before. And he said, that meter, you are to write the glory of Lord Ram in that meter. So the great Ramayana is written in that particular meter. And, we'll hear some of that tomorrow for Lord Ram's appearance.
Haribol.
So Providence utilized Valmiki in that way. So, we're just, very small expansions of Krishna. So we can come under the influence of this material energy. We don't want to provoke that. So there's not only an offense from hitting somebody, but there's also an offense from words, and there's an offense from thoughts. And so we have to learn to control ourselves, and life's a practice. We have to practice it. No one's perfect other than Krishna. His great devotees, we don't dare look for their faults. They don't look for other people's faults. We don't want to do that. Like people would find fault in Haridas Thakur. They would they would say that you're just a sentimentalist. You're just a parasite on society. You just walk around, pretending to be in love
It's his wife calling him.
with Krishna.
Life is here.
So many things they would say to him. But, Haridas wasn't generally bothered by any of these things. But, he's extraordinary. Still, people would find fault in him. So one of the qualifications of a devotee is that we don't find fault. And it's something that has to be practiced because, it's an easy thing to do. And, and especially, we're trained to think critically, and we're trained to examine things and to make judgments. We're very judgmental. So one can live like that. People even do that to Krishna. They do that to God. So, we have to see, is this, is this the perfection of life, just to be judgmental and critical and to find fault in everything? Maybe there's some things that are holy and only meant to be seen from a good perspective. And actually a saintly person tries to see like that. Saintly persons don't use their discrimination to see everybody's faults, but they use their discrimination to try to see the good things in people. That's a much more difficult practice for most of us, because we're used to examining the faults. We've made a habit of it. A lot of us, like myself, from the time you're born, you're taught to do that by your parents or by relatives in school, your friends. So we have to change that habit to try to see the good in others. That doesn't mean we have to let people cheat us, but you can always walk away from that. You don't have to buy a car from somebody who's cheating you. So, but we as a devotee, we try to see the good in others. So all these things can come about by understanding we're not the body. That's the beginning. So so that you don't preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless. Just preach to them that they're not the body. And that becomes a test for you, because you can only teach somebody as much as you know. So, you have to be honest about it. You're not your body. I understand it a little bit. I can explain it like this. This is how I realize it. And hopefully they can benefit from that. If they keep, demanding more from you, then you just have to explain that. You have to see my spiritual master, read my spiritual master's books, hear from my authorities. They're more advanced than me. I can only give so much. You don't want to just speculate and ramble on about something, trying to assimilate some sort of thesis on the spot. We can only give what we can give. And so that way you won't make the mistake of preaching the glories of the Lord, because you're just trying to help somebody understand they're not their body. The best way to do that is just tell them, just chant Hare Krishna. It will purify your mind, then you can understand. No one can understand with a contaminated mind. I wouldn't understand at all either, but because I've chanted a little bit, I've purified my mind a little bit so I can have a little faith. You can't have faith, unless you purify your mind. So just get them to chant. That's all. And then you won't be preaching the glory to the faithless.
Prabhu, you mentioned earlier about book distribution, and when I first came to Krishna consciousness, I had the opportunity to do that one time. And I posed the question that why are we distributing books when there's this, offense that we should not preach to people who don't want to be preached to? And when I was at a books distribution, I was instructed just to walk up to people, and whether they were interested or not, just try to get them the book, And I was a little disturbed by it. It made me feel uncomfortable. This kind of approach, I was much more comfortable, talking to them and wanting to find some interest And I'm just curious, like, what's the appropriate way to do book distribution without risking offense?
Well, just to explain that to John, that, when distributing the book, we want to teach them they're not their body.
So that's...
So it's better to talk to, there's some pretty accomplished book distributors, but they've developed their skill. They can walk up to anybody and they know whether the person's interested or not. And they generally will make people, feel, if not good, the person won't be offended or anything. But then they can really bring out the interest in more people than the unskilled distributor can.
Sure, so it's just about the technique.
Technique's a part of it. Some people have a natural ability to do it. Like, Marani's expert. She can go out at any time and sell a bunch of books. Because she's just a natural at doing things like that. Other people are very, what they call it, they're not extroverted, they're introverted, and they may have a hard time coming out to others, and especially people who are they don't know, strangers, may be difficult for them. So that they would have to practice a lot more. What, Maran?
I can answer that question. Here's the phone, I have to go. It's not an offense to distribute books. We're not preaching with faithless like that. It's because when you do, I don't know what technique you learned, but the way to do that on the streets is that you create a friendship first. You sit there talking to them, and then you'll understand what their interest is. Some of them will say they like cooking, some will say like philosophy. Then you ask them, if you heard about Bhagavad Gita, almost everybody knows about Gita. So already they know something. So that's not an offense that they don't know anything about it. So when they say the magic word, you listen, then only you pull out from your bag, according to what they know, Some will be only cookbooks, they like vegetarian cookbooks. So everyone is different, So it's not preaching to the faithless. But it's the technique you have to learn, how to do it,
Maybe it's just the way the person instructed you or the way you heard it, but the different devotees use different techniques. Like Drew Miller's a comedian, and he's great. People love him.
So is Mohansini,
And Mohansini's not a comedian, but she's like got this motherly potency where people just stop in their tracks like they're talking to their grandmother. And they just automatically give her respect.
In the beginning, she had a hard time too. She also was thinking the same way she did. Then I taught her, I taught her to do it with the hats, with the books. It's just, you have to learn how to listen. And many of them, they're very friendly and they talk to you and they'll tell you where their interest is. And then one day on my birthday, I decided to go there and challenge myself to do 50 big Gitas in 5 hours.
Whoa.
And I did it on time. It's just like, it's good. We're going to start doing the Harinam back again. I'm talking to Daniel Prabhu and Buchaya Prabhu. So we will go back to the quarters and start doing this.
I was there. I mean, it was that was not how I was instructed, but that's how I felt most comfortable to sit down and spend a little bit of time with them speaking to
In
them.
a few minutes, if you don't sit there, there's no place. But if you have a friendly relationship, within a few minutes you can know where their interest is. And that's how the big book distributors do it too. Some like philosophy, some like cooking, almost everybody knows about Gita. Nowadays it's not a secret. Everybody knows about Gita. So if to give them that book in the street over there, they usually really like it.
See, from the temple manager, whether it be the person in charge of Sankirtan or the temple president, if that was given as your service, then there's always this thing there that somebody goes out, their job is they're going to be distributing Prabhupada's books. But they're not very expert at it, but they like to talk to people, or they feel more comfortable making friends. So they spend 4, 5, 6 hours and they talk to 4, 5, 6 people. And maybe gave 2 books out because that's what they were comfortable doing. But that wasn't the job, to go out and talk to people. Now if that's the job, then fine. So how to do the job when you need to, when you're not just expert at stopping people and giving them some literature, and and moving on to the next person, how to deal with it. So that's what Maharani was saying. You can allot a few minutes. Everybody will understand that, there's a lot more people that you have to see. And so therefore you can't spend time. Otherwise, a lot of people are looking for people to talk to, and people who have a lot on their mind, and they want to find somebody they can reveal all this to. And so people will take up your time, when they see that you're a good listener. So, but if your job is to distribute the books and not to be a good listener, people pay people money to listen all the time. So, so then how to do it is you have to, allot a certain amount of time, and in a friendly way. You just have to break off the conversation by just letting people know that there's a lot of other people that you need to see, because it's very important to be able to give everybody the opportunity to get a book. And you can always, what the devotees generally do is just take their name and address, or name and phone number, cell number, whatever it is, email nowadays, and say that, if you'd like to talk some more, then you can get in touch with me. Mother Mohansini, actually, devotees are pretty organized. She gives them a website called Fortunate People, where they can make contact with this website, and there are devotees on staff that can constantly talk to people and present them and give them things they need. So she puts them in touch with that website called Fortunate People. And there's more than just that one. And plus you can also give them your personal, if that, if you just have a really good rapport with that person and you would like to talk to them more, then you can give them your personal address also. So that's a way to be able to do the book distribution job, and at the same time be able to utilize our capacity to be friends with people or to listen to people. And some people may not have that capacity, like Drew Miller likes listening and talking, but he likes making people happy and laugh. And somehow ever, he's just a natural. And he's like expert at doing it. There's people that don't, there's always going to be some rude people, there's going to be rejection. And those of us who are affected by those things, who aren't so transcendental to it, Krishna will many times test you like that, where you get so much rejection that it begins to plague you, you're just desperate to take a break, because you can't stand to hear another person say, get out of my face or something, Yeah, Mother Prishni, she's another expert. She loves to go down there and do that.
What I found was that when you were talking about that rejection thing, what happened was Vaishnavi's husband and herself and a bunch of men devotees, and it was just going on and on, and people were just saying no, no, no. So to make the atmosphere transcendental, we thought we're just going to sit down, and Vaishnavi was still wanting to do the books. We sat down and we just chanted, and you could feel how the atmosphere was getting much more better and spiritual. And you see how people were slowing down, stopping with Vaishnavi, talking with Vaishnavi, and it was like a nice receptive atmosphere. I'm not saying that happens all the time. Was my realization that sometimes if we're having that problem with, I don't want to go on, I find the mantra, when you start chanting the mantra, how it not only purifies the atmosphere, but gives you that strength to keep.
I had Goshi one time call me up from Germany and said, Peter, what to do? These people here, it's almost like they hate us. We're out here just chanting, and they're so rude, and it's so difficult. I said, well, maybe they don't like the way you're chanting. Just use a different music style. Maybe they like something that's slower, that just stresses melody and has less rhythm in it. Just try a different style. And maybe that will work, you know. So, you know, we have to, we have to see what people need and what's the best way to approach the matter, you know. And, you know, sometimes maybe just, handing out cookies that are legitimate. In a place like America, you know, everything has to be approved through the health department. So you go to other places, you know, they don't mind that you're just handing out some homemade cookies. But, so just different ways to reach people. Yeah.
I just want to quickly ask, like you said, cookies, but like we were doing kirtan normally and giving out some cookies or candies, and some people are throwing it away.
Yeah.
Like in the trash bin. Is it offense for us that we distribute prasadam like this, or it's okay?
Well, you may just want to see if they want the cookie first. Don't force it on them. Sometimes devotees get to be like speedsters, where they're just going out and handing it, you know, and the person doesn't even have a chance. You know, maybe better to take the time to say, would you like a cookie? And the person says no, don't force it on them. But yeah, I mean, they do that with magazines too, you know.
Sometimes they take and they see what is it and they throw it. That's what's happening. Like you ask, do you want some cookie? They take and then they throw it. As I see so many times.
Oh, the ants get to eat or something, you know. You just have to think if you're doing the best to do your job. If you see that that's the result you're getting, then you have to try something else that maybe you need to ask the person first, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, would you like one? And, you know, then somebody may say, oh, you know, where did it come from? Who made it? And they may not want it. I mean, I was distributing prasad one time at a religious event where we were catering it. We were invited to cater it. And the Jewish rabbis would not take. You know, they considered it offered to idols, you know, they refused to take it. So, I mean, you know, that's their preference, though.
Yeah.
So many other people were nice, you know. You just have to think of some way to be able to reach certain people, you know. So it's not always easy. Nothing's easy in this world, as a matter of fact. Even sometimes the most simplest things can become complicated. Okay, let's see. So tomorrow's Lord Ram's appearance. We're doing the fasting tomorrow. I am going to engage Balaram along with the dinner in the evening because it's break fast at dusk. So besides making a little bit larger dinner, Balaram's going to make some pasta. Also have a big meeting going on. So those devotees will be here eating also. So he'll make a big type of pasta. And then Sunday is the feast program, and that will be the feasting for Lord Ram. Then Monday is Ekadasi, but it's also Jayapataka Maharaj's appearance. So that's what this is about. And his disciples and others will do a big Ekadasi feast for Maharaj.
Wow.
And they have a program, I think it starts at 11:30. And there'll be noon arti. And I'm not sure we'll go on afterwards, but then, you know, the feast will be served sometime, big feast. And New Orleans Temple has asked me to invite everybody in the evening to their feast. And that's, I think, this card is about. They want me to go there. So New Orleans Temple program starts at 5:30. There's one on Monday, a Ekadasi feast, and then they do one the next day because Maharaj always does an Ekadasi feast on his birthday, and the next day does a grain feast for the devotees. So each day they're going to have a feast beginning around 5:30 on his appearance day. The next day will probably be at 6:30, the grain feast. Because there probably won't be a program the next day, it'll just be a big feast.
Prabhu, on Ramanama's day, since it's not a grain break Ekadasi, what is acceptable to break Ekadasi? Just like a little bit of milk or something is fine?
You mean to break Ekadasi fast?
Maybe for Ramanami, because I know that since I'm fasting,
You can
I'll be
put it
fat.
in your mouth.
You just take a piece of grain, piece of rice.
For Ramanama. For Ramanama.
Yeah. Ramnami, you can do like that. Just a grain of rice. You know, it's also don't necessarily, it's not like a Ekadasi, you don't necessarily have to break the fast
Yeah, that's what I'm
for
curious
Ram
about.
Navami.
So
You can
it's-
just break the fast the next day. Now, you know, a lot of devotees will fast completely on Vishnu Avatar's appearance days. So, but Ekadasi, the next day the fast is broken with grain. So you take a piece of rice, a little piece of rice. So on Ram Navami, the next morning you take a piece of rice because the feasting won't be till afternoon. You know, we won't serve the feast till 1:30. So you can break the fast at breakfast time. You don't have to wait till 1:30. You know.
And also, Ashtika Prabhu was telling last time that we can break fast just like putting grain in water and then taking it out and drink the water.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, that is very possible. Okay, yeah, I have a little something that I need to do before then. But I will come out at probably around noon and work until I have to go to cows.
Alright, I'll be out there.
Alright, and then you can just keep working on the fence line and making little piles all over. And when I get out there, I'll show you how to pick up after the burn. You know,
You're gonna do the burn? You're gonna do
No, we probably won't do that, but I mean, we have to go all the area that has been burned, and pick up all the sticks and all this kind of stuff, and do kind of a cleanup, and then also start to cut for the tractor to come and till up everything, so we have to like cut those big sticky bushes like down at the ground, so that they don't pop any tires and stuff like this, and they can run the tiller and everything.
That'll be another thing to do, that's good.
Yeah, so when I come out at noon, we'll start on that, and you just do as far as you can on the fence line.
Okay, yeah, I got plenty to do. Alright, okay.
Thank you so much for the, Yogindra, did you want to take a tour, maybe in a little while of the field? You have time today? I just would like to walk around, show you what we did and where it's going to go, just so you can understand what we're doing over there, if you are interested. Okay. All right, there you go, Paul. Sounds nice. Yeah, the tractor should be coming soon, hopefully. Yeah, so we have to get on it. So when I come out there, I'll just show you what needs to be done, and we'll work really hard at it. Yeah, it's going to be really great, right? Yes.
You're up this morning, Jenny, at like 1:30? Huh? You're up like 1:30 this morning. Facing back and forth. Oh my God, 1:30, bro.
Oh my God.
Wow. Plum also.